Allison, but today I'm using cute little Jaden. I apologize in the randomness in my videos lately, but I haven't been able to work on those major films I wanted to do because, well, my laptop broke. So, not sure when I'm going to deal with that, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I was at the hospital the other day. That'll probably be a whole other story. But as of now, I'm okay. So since my family's out of the house, I was like, why don't I do what I do best and talk to myself? And this is a story I've been wanting to tell for a really, really, really long time, but I've never got around to it. But because of what I have to deal with and, well, soon, I figured I might as well just tell it now. Because, well, it relates to this. So this is the story of why I am now so afraid of the dentist, because years ago I was tortured and borderline abused at this children's dentist place, so I figured, why not tell the story? Because, well, this is a humiliating story, but it's an important one. So, for starters, I know literally no one likes having dental work done, but my experience has left me traumatized with anything dental related, so it's a little bit different. So our story starts back in the fall of 2018 when I was in grade 7. So we went to our normal dentist place for our routine cleanings, and I was told I had a cavity. And even though at this place I have had multiple fillings and even a tooth pulled here before and been completely fine, they said they were going to send me back to this children's place. First of all, yes, there is a children's place in the city here in Nova Scotia, and I had actually been there before when I was 9, and it was actually really amazing. So this place is supposed to be this exclusive children's place where experts who put in the extra effort to work with kids getting certain procedures done that would be hard to do at a regular dentist. They're there to manage kids who are squirmy and active and anxious or just anything like that. So their whole thing is fun and painless and great, or it's supposed to be. Although I didn't always think that, because when I went there when I was 9, I had the dentist doctor that the place is named after, and she was absolutely lovely. That time in 2015, I actually had 4 teeth ripped out, and I didn't even realize it happened. Like, they were so nice, and I wasn't in any pain at all, and afterwards I was like, but they didn't do anything. And I was even a little drowsy and said some weird things, but we're not going to talk about that. But anyway, it was a great time. But unfortunately, when I would go back twice when I was 13, things would not be so great. Things when I was 9 were wonderful. Like, I was just in a daze, watched the TV, they took out 4 teeth, and I was completely fine. It was amazing. Anyway, flash forward to, again, grade 7. When I was getting my teeth cleaned, they said I had a cavity, and for some reason, they were going to send me to the children's place to do it. Again, I was confused because I had had multiple fillings at our regular office before, and I was totally fine. To be fair, it seemed every year we went there, we had, like, a new dentist, but I was always fine, no matter what. Of course, our first one was, like, the best ever, but everyone I had after was fine, and to be fair, all those, like, fillings and the teeth pulled out at that regular office, I had that original dentist that we didn't have anymore, but I was like, I was always fine. Why are they suddenly sending me here for a simple filling? But I was confused because, well, you guys know that I'm the most anxious person on the planet, but at that point, I wasn't scared that the dentist, despite everything I had done, it was like, it was nothing to me. It was fine. So I was confused why suddenly they didn't want to do this on me and wanted to send me to the children's place. So apparently, because of all these new dentists at our regular place and because I'm so anxious, they thought it would be better for me to do this filling at the children's place. And this place is mainly for, like, 4-year-olds, but they figured since I was such an anxious person, going here as a teenager would be good. I was anxious because, well, I always am, and you guys know that, but I was hoping it wouldn't be too bad since I had worse done before, and my last experience at this place was really great, and that was for pulling 4 teeth out, so I'm thinking, like, oh, a little filling, which I've had, like, many times since I was little. Well, I've had, like, 4 in my life at this point, except they were in baby teeth that had all fallen out, but I was like, I've done worse. What could be bad about this? So after that original appointment, like 5 months went by before it actually happened and I had to get that filling fixed. And at this point I had turned 13, like just turned 13 a few weeks ago because it was during March break. So that was something good at least. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna miss school, so that's good. And I was dreading it, especially because I'm like, why do they suddenly have to send me to a different place? Is this like more serious than a regular filling? And it wasn't, but they made it horrible, so. But I was dreading it because, again, no one likes the dentist anyway, but I was trying to hope it wouldn't be too bad. Now, at this place, they give you kind of like a laughing gas kind of sedation, and it worked well on me when I was 9. Like, I didn't even realize anything happened. But it's just supposed to help you feel relaxed and not care what's happening even though you are still awake. And again, I was confused because I've had multiple fillings done in my life without this gas, but I was like, I guess that's just what they do here regardless of what the procedure is. And with this gas, apparently with the rules, you can't eat 4 hours before. So the day comes and my appointment's in the afternoon, so I was able to wake up, eat breakfast, have a few snacks, and then I was good to not eat for a few hours. We get there and mom has to fill out forms and all that. I get called back with the hygienist, Ashley. First of all, you have to go back alone. Your parents are not allowed to come with you. And I didn't really care about that, especially the first time, but I just thought that was crazy because what do you mean? This is a place for children. Surely they will understand that little kids would likely want their parents to go in with them for comfort. But no, you have to go in alone. Now, at my other place, I don't think I ever asked for my mom to go in with me, but I don't see why they would have a problem with it because, like, the very first time all of us had our dentist appointments, our mom would go in with us. But here, even though this is like where it would make the most sense to have your parents, look after you, they don't allow that. So really weird. So this place looks all cute. Toys, TV, colorful walls, but looks can be deceiving. So I go back and Ashley says we need to do x-rays to start, and I'm confused because I just did this back in the fall when I found out about the cavity, and that's what we're supposed to be taking care of today. But apparently we had to do it again. And x-rays have always been such a nightmare for me. I'm better at them now, definitely. Like when I did it a few months ago, I was totally fine. But it's still kind of a struggle, and back then it was especially bad because I have such a small jaw, a very sensitive gag reflex, and it's just always hard for me. In fact, a lot of dental procedures they're sensory nightmares. Of course, but, it's always been hard for me. In fact, one time when I was 11, I'd say at a regular checkup with our regular dentist, I was left alone in the room, and since I'm nosy, I turned around in the chair and looked at the computer where all my charting history was, where, they write about what was done on certain dates, what flavors of things were used, how you reacted to things, all that. And almost all of mine had added in lots of choking and gagging because, that's always been a problem for me. Maybe another sign that I'm ace. Sorry, I really shouldn't make those jokes. Gross jokes aside, I'm extremely sensitive. And while it's always difficult, I've always pushed through and gotten everything done that I needed to have done. There's only ever been one dentist thing that I was unable to do, and it wasn't something I absolutely needed done, like a filling or pulling out a tooth. It was when I was 9, a few months after I got those 4 teeth pulled. I was supposed to get my teeth painted. They thought it was good to do for more protection, and they wanted to wait until I got the 4 out first. But when we tried to, I just couldn't. They tried multiple times, and they were very nice and understanding, but I couldn't. I just kept gagging, and I couldn't keep my mouth open, and it just didn't work. They said maybe I could try again in a few years. I never did, but again, that was fine that I was unable to do because it wasn't something I needed done. It was just good to have, but you didn't need it. So that's the only dental thing in my life that I couldn't do. Everything else I needed done, I did, even when it was hard. The main point is I've always been very sensitive, and x-rays are especially hard. So going back to the present, when Ashley is trying to do this with me, as always, I started gagging. And with this place being for children, you'd think they'd be understanding for difficult things. But instead, she's like, why are you doing that? I've barely done anything yet. She was so annoyed with me immediately. I explained that I am just really sensitive, but I always manage. I just need a little more time. But she was rather rude and just said we needed to do it as soon as possible. So yeah, it took a few tries and some annoyance from her, but eventually we did it and I got sent back out to the waiting room. And I naturally started getting more anxious because this wasn't even the actual procedure yet, and that was pretty bad. But I tried to tell myself that the actual filling would be fine. After a while, my mom and I get called back to the consult room where we wait for the dentist to come in and talk about what will happen. And soon she walked in. Dr. Logan, aka a nasty, evil witch. But we didn't know that yet. She's just like any manipulative person you've ever met. Because around us, she was acting all sweet and giggly, happy, just so sweet and smiley. But again, I've learned looks can be deceiving. Now, when we went to their other dentist in the fall, they said I just had one cavity that would need to be taken care of here. But months later, my mom was looking at my teeth and told me it's most likely 2 cavities now, and I was prepared for that, if they said that. But Dr. Logan looked at the x-rays and said I actually had 3. So she told us she would fill 2 today, and then next month I would come back and do the other one so she's not freezing like both sides of my mouth. She then starts talking and acting all sweet, and I thought she was way nicer than Ashley, so maybe this would be easy. But boy was I wrong. She told me that with this gas sedation, I would just feel all light, fluffy, and not feel any pain at all. It will just be peaceful and easy, and since it was easy when I was 9, I was thinking it would be easy again. She then talks about how she used it on herself a few months ago, and it was great. She showed us pictures of her at the dentist and her dog and all this random shit, acting all innocent. After a while, she said we would go back and get started now, so she sent my mom away and took me into a sketchy room. And, well, as soon as my mom left, so did the nice Dr. Logan. As soon as we got in the room, she changed. She immediately became aggressive, nasty, and rude. She was a fake. Ashley comes back in, they both get started, and oh my god, I felt everything. They were using all these painful needles and cranks. My regular dentist office did not use those things. If they did use the needles, I never noticed because they always put like this gel on there, and like I never felt any needles or anything painful they used. Here I was. And like, it was crazy because at the regular dentist, they would like use this gel or whatever, so it would freeze my mouth, but then they would need to put like a little bit more just for good measure with the needle, but it didn't matter because my mouth was already frozen, so I wouldn't feel it. And again, you'd think at a children's place, they would like do that even more so children aren't scared and in pain, but they didn't. And it was so confusing because I was feeling everything here when I didn't feel anything at my regular office ever, which was against the whole fucking point of me going here. If you guys watched my last story time, I have a huge phobia of needles, and that story explains why. So I am obviously panicking, I was shaking and crying, but they didn't care. They start yelling at me, telling me to stop, be quiet, and calm down. But I wouldn't, because everything hurt. Even though I had the gas stuff and I felt like slightly fuzzy and tingly, I was still very much conscious and in pain and feeling everything they were doing in my mouth, and it hurt. But they kept going. So I'm shaking, tearing up, panicking, but Dr. Logan especially keeps yelling at me, saying I need to get it together and counting down like a parent about to like punish their toddler. You need to stop or else. 1, 2, 3. You better stop or it's just going to get worse. Like, I can't even fully scream or talk since they have my mouth cranked open, but I was just stuck there in pain, crying and getting yelled at while watching Dora on the TV. Now, I'm a full adult who plays with toys, but even that's too far childish for me. Like, come on, I'm 13 and I want to be watching Dora. Like, when I first walked in, it was Loud House, which I actually liked. And although I couldn't really hear it over all the dental noise, I was like, okay, that's okay. But then it switched to Dora, and I was like, great. Just make this even worse. And now listen, I used to like Dora. I still eat Dora like shaped pasta. I have Dora on my hairbrush, but like I don't really want to watch that these days. Just because it's your childhood doesn't mean everything is nostalgic. Like, of course it's nostalgic, but do I really want to watch it? No. Anyway, I was an absolute mess, but I was unfortunately trapped and paralyzed. I was gagging and panicking and felt like I couldn't breathe, but they were just so angry, especially Dr. Logan. And this had me so worried, because if this is how they treat a teenager, I don't even want to know how they're treating, like, toddlers. These little kids who can't speak up about what happened. Like, they said I was difficult and they couldn't do it if I didn't stop. When again, this place is for children. You are supposed to be trained in handling active kids who are antsy and scared. What do you mean you can't handle me? Like, anyway, this went on for what felt like years, but it was probably only 2 hours. It was awful. I was so scared and in so much pain. Also, Dr. Logan yelled at me for having tics. Seriously. That's when I was, like, I think I've said before, if you watch my Tourette's video and things like that, I go through bad periods, like, every once in a while where they can get really bad. And that's when I was going through a rather bad one in grade 7. Not as bad as, like, a few years ago in grade 10. That was a nightmare. But I was going through a kind of bad period with my tics for a few months, linked to what I believe is, like, seasonal depression and anxiety or whatever, where, like, things like that, tics and all that, get worse. But also, since I am being traumatized at this moment, that's kind of going to trigger it, and that's not my fault. Dr. Logan yelled at me and told me to stop. By the way, this bitch always spoke in the third person. It was so creepy. So she starts saying, Dr. Logan isn't going to be able to get this done if you keep making that noise. I can't help it. And that shouldn't matter because, again, this is a place for children who, newsflash, are going to make noise and cry even if they don't have tics. Like, this was a painful nightmare, and I never thought it would end. Anyway, she keeps saying, Dr. Logan keeps having to stop because you keep crying, and shut up, please. Now Dr. Logan is going to, I don't care, just make it stop. After what felt like years, they finally finished, and I was horrified. This is also where they broke the news to me that I actually have 4 cavities. So they did 2 today, and next month they will do the other 2. And I immediately felt sick at the thought of having to go through this again. I wanted to cry and run away and die. They also told me that next time they'll have to give me this extra, like, anti-anxiety medication beforehand to calm me down because they can't go through that again. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't go through that again? So, yeah, Dr. Logan leaves, and I never wanted to see that woman again as long as I lived. But sadly, I had to. Anyway, Ashley lets me pick out this stupid toy from their prize thing, which wasn't even close to worth all that torture. And she walks me back up to my mom and mentions how I was very difficult and anxious, so they'll have to give me an extra medication next time, and even though it's going to be gross, I need it. And then basically starts berating my mom, telling her how bad my cavities were, blaming us for my teeth being so bad, and I was shocked. Because it's been 5 months since I found out, like, of course that first one is going to be worse after all that time, and we didn't even know about the other one. Also, that's extremely unfair of her to say because I don't eat like most kids. No, I've never been super healthy, like, despite being underweight, like, I don't really eat, like, a ton of healthy food, and I never really have. But I don't just eat a bunch of sugar and then never brush my teeth. I also don't like sugary drinks when, like, everyone else my age did. Like, I don't drink pop like most kids do. All I really have ever is water, and then the most sugary thing I drink is occasionally juice or chocolate milk, and I'm still pretty much like that with lemonade occasionally. These days it's that I don't drink alcohol even though everyone else my age does, but I don't want it. So I've never been that bad, and it's really unfair because we weren't doing anything wrong to cause this. I was just upset because, especially back then, Leah would just eat and eat and eat sugar and drink juice constantly, and her teeth were fine. It wasn't fair. Like, it's awful that she was like blaming my mother for feeding us the wrong things when really we were eating like the exact same things, and I just happened to have bad teeth. Like, it's not really fair. So I was shocked, and I kept it together until we got in the car, but then I sobbed and I told my mother everything. She was horrified, and she told me that she would speak to them next time to make sure I wouldn't suffer again. Wouldn't that have been nice? When I got home, the pain got so much worse, even before the freezing wore off. Like, it was awful. I was crying. I never cried like this during or after getting fillings at our regular dentist. It was always, sensory hell for a few hours after waiting for the freezing to wear off, and then it would hurt a little, but I was never crying in pain like this. And the thought of having to go back and go through it all again had me horrified, thinking about how I would die, doomsday would hit me, and my life would be over, and I had no idea how I could survive that again. I started fearing the dentist, and I got paranoid that they would find even more problems and it would be worse. And after a few days, I felt better, but I knew that would only be temporary. For the next month, I braced myself, practiced holding my mouth open, practiced to prepare for the pressure and pain, and I thought I would at least be somewhat prepared to go through that again. But spoiler alert, I was not. Weeks went by, and we didn't have an exact date yet, but they said it would be sometime in April. Early April, I was on our family computer on my mom's email, because that's how I read my YouTube comments back then. And when I saw an email from the dental office saying, "Allison, it's time for your appointment," I just felt sick. My stomach sank reading that email. Basically said my appointment was in about 2 weeks. Don't eat or drink 4 hours before, blah, 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 blah. I was so scared and angry. My mom called them and promised me it would be better this time. And it was not. Anyway, a few weeks later, the second time comes around, and obviously I am absolutely fucking dreading it. When they called to confirm, my mom told them last time I felt everything and it was very painful. The receptionist was shocked and apologized, saying that wouldn't happen again. Yeah, right. Now, this day I actually had to miss school, and that was like the only day I missed that year, apart from at the very end of the year when I didn't want to go on the field trip. But this was like the only school day I missed that year. And apparently my old best friend Heidi, she was also absent that day, and apparently one of our teachers made some joke that we were skipping to go smoke out in the woods together. But I was also living that the one day you miss school, that's when everything happens joke, because that's when that ex that we can't really talk about, but you guys know, I was with that guy, and that day he did some pretty crazy stuff. I can't get into it, but yeah, I was like, I had to go back and deal with that after a horrible day, and I was like, ugh. So yeah, that was real fun to come back to. But back to the dentist from hell. Not only did I have to miss school for this, which I was annoyed by, but this time it was worse because it was in the morning. Unlike last time when it was in the afternoon, where I woke up and had multiple things before I was cut off from eating, this time it was so early I didn't wake up in time and I missed my window to eat. So I was absolutely starving, but I was so tired I slept in and couldn't eat after I woke up. We get there, I'm terrified, and at check-in, they ask when the last time was that I had something to eat or drink. And I say last night, and they make some stupid joke like, "Oh, wow, you're starved." Like, "Oh, thank you, I am starving." My mom just glanced at me in disbelief at the audacity of these people, but it was awful. We get taken back to the consult room because we didn't need like any x-rays or like pre-checkup this time. And the devil herself, Dr. Logan, walks back in. And just like before, she's acting all nice and sweet. And she brings up how last time I seemed to be in a lot of discomfort in the chair. You don't say. She then told me I had to take this mystery anxiety medication that they mentioned last time. Didn't even tell us what it was, just brought it to us in a syringe and said I had to take it. So she walked out and said I had 5 minutes to take it on my own, or else she was gonna have to hold me down and force it into my mouth. How nice. For the next few minutes, my mom is trying to nicely convince me to take it, but I did not want to. It was gross, and I couldn't even have any water or anything after to wash it down. And also, you're not supposed to take medication on an empty stomach. I still didn't take it, so Dr. Logan comes back in and threatens me again, saying she will either have to force it into my mouth or inject it into me, and I was traumatized. So eventually I did take it, and it was nasty, so I ended up spitting some of it out by accident, but I got most of it. So she comes back, glad I finally did it, and sent us out in the waiting room to wait for about 5 minutes for it to kick in. 5 minutes went by, and my mom ends up talking to this other mother of a younger boy who is currently getting whatever done, I don't know. But she mentioned how her son also missed his time to eat since his appointment was so early and wasn't happy. And, well, I felt that. I was terrified and waiting to feel different from this medication, but I did not. I get called back, and, well, nothing changed. It was just as horrific as last time. Actually, no. Worse, because this time the gas thing they had me breathe was artificial grape. And I don't really know how to explain it, but I despise that scent and flavor in products. I really, really like actual grapes, and then I like grape popsicles and things, but artificial grape is disgusting. So if it's artificial grape medicine, which I do take sometimes because, well, there's no choice, but if it's in like lip balm or perfume, anything like that, it will make me gag. It's too sweet. It's not real grape. And I was upset because this gas that I had to inhale for the next few hours was grape, and I was not happy about it. They told me it's the best flavor, but no, it's not. It's disgusting and nauseating. So they start. Just like last time, I felt everything. I think I cried a little less than last time, but I was still tearing up. Still felt and heard everything, and still watching baby shows. Once again, getting yelled at for having tics. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm triggered and scared. My bad. Also, these dumbasses seem to think that I was like completely drugged and unconscious because they started talking shit and seemed to think I couldn't hear. Talking about how it's ridiculous that I'm at this children's place when I'm 13. I don't even act 13 at all. I act like a baby. I'm so difficult. Just disgusting things to say. They really thought I couldn't hear while they were being delusional, saying, "Aw, she's doing so much better now." When no, I wasn't. They're telling me to stop doing things I didn't even realize I was doing. But yeah, things were bad, but soon they got even worse. Eventually, I started feeling really nauseous and dizzy, and suddenly I just started throwing up everywhere. I have such a fear of throwing up, so that made it even worse. And when you think about it, there were so many reasons this could be happening. Maybe it's from not eating in like 12 hours. Maybe it's from taking medication on an empty stomach. Maybe it was from inhaling a nauseating grape-scented gas that I am extremely sensitive to. Or just maybe it was from the extreme anxiety I was having in this hellish nightmare I was in. Honestly, it was probably a combination of all of those things. You don't have to be a genius to make those connections. But oh no, they couldn't make those connections at all. Instead, while I'm actively throwing up and crying, Dr. Logan starts yelling at me, "When was the last time you had something to eat or drink?" As if assuming I ate past when I wasn't supposed to, and that's what was causing this. No ma'am, I think it's the opposite. So I choke out like, last night. But she didn't believe me. At this moment, she throws down her tools and says, "I can't with her anymore. I'm done." And storms out. I was in disbelief at that, but also thrilled because I never wanted to see that woman again. However, Ashley stayed. And I should say, she wasn't very nice either. But compared to Dr. Logan, she was sadly an angel. And I think I haven't really mentioned it, but they were both doing it. Like, she's the hygienist, Dr. Logan's the dentist, and, they were both working on my fillings. But, yeah, Compared to Dr. Logan, she was sadly an angel, but she was also rude, as I've said. But she at least seemed to actually believe me that I really hadn't eaten since last night, and she's all, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. You're not supposed to go too long without eating, or this kind of thing can happen." Duh. I did not choose for my appointment to be so early and make it so I couldn't eat, so, oh yeah. Then this girl had the absolute audacity to ask, "Allison, have you ever talked to anyone about your anxiety?" Oh, fuck you. You're trying to act like my therapist now when I'm going to need therapy because of these appointments? Absolutely not. Anyway, she got things cleaned up and helped me walk back out to the waiting room since I was a little bit wobbly after, throwing up and all that. We find my mom, and Ashley's acting all innocent. "Yeah, so unfortunately she did get sick," and then starts talking about, how anxious I am, and that's bad, and blah, blah, blah. Dr. Logan's really mad right now, which good, I'm glad. But they did get all the cavities filled, so that's good. But again, she starts talking about how some of my cavities are so bad, the fillings might not be enough. And she mentioned that if they don't work and I'm still in pain or they fall out, they're gonna have to do a root canal, which, no, I would rather die. So ever since, I have been traumatized. Now, that day we left, and I must admit, I wasn't in that much pain after compared to last time, but I was still in pain. I was still traumatized. I got in the car and cried to my mom again, and she was angry because she was promised that this would be better, and it was not. And I think this place is absolutely disgusting because you don't treat any child that way. And it's awful. But if you go on their website, they're like, "Dr. Logan cares about helping children, and she's so good with them, and blah, blah, blah." It's not. Although, actually, there are quite a lot of bad reviews. It's gone up since, and last I checked, Dr. Logan doesn't work there anymore. I think Ashley still does. But I think Dr. Logan went to another dental office in here, so poor thing. But this place had 2 stars at the time. I think it's more now, but it had 2 stars at the time. And, it kind of sucks because the other dentists there are lovely. Like I said, when I was 9, I got the one the place was named after, and she was wonderful. But Dr. Logan, and from reading the parent reviews, a few other people in there are awful, and it sucks. And a year later, I actually wrote a review telling my story, and they removed it. It was on a fake account, and they removed it. Is that legal? Can they do that? God. Anyway, ever since that experience, I've had a terrible phobia of the dentist, and that is not fair because I used to have so many good experiences, but now I am terrified. Ever since, for years, I've been terrified of those fillings falling out and having to get anything done again. So for years, I tried to not chew on either side, with the middle of my teeth, which is ridiculous. But I was just so scared of being there again. And every dentist appointment I've had after has been terrifying, even though they were just routine cleanings at our normal place. And usually my mom knows one of the hygienists in there, so I usually got her, but I was still so anxious, even though all the dentists we've had in there are really nice. But after that experience, I was just terrified, and now I have a horrible fear of the dentist, and it's not fair. Everything dental related scared me, and I was hoping I would never have cavities again, and I was so careful for years. So yeah, this is in 2019, and I can't remember when our next dentist appointment was or if we even had one, but the last time we went was 2021. Yeah, I know that's not good, but it was a whole system issue and everything. So that was the last time we had been there until a few months ago, where some of you who follow me on Instagram might know, but I never really said here. But I was maybe I'll make a related story time about why I'm upset, and this was part of why I was upset and still am upset. So I went to my dentist a few months ago, same hygienist, but again, as usual, we have a new dentist every time. And I got the unfortunate news that I have a cavity and another one of my teeth, one of the fillings that Dr. Logan did, apparently it broke, even though I never knew that happened. And because of it, it died, and there's now an abscess. So they said I need to get that out like take the tooth out or get a root canal. And I am terrified. I have not had anything serious done since this day with Dr. Logan in 2019. Ever since then, it's just been cleanings, and even that has been anxiety inducing. And while I'm better at like x-rays and things now, the idea of having needles in my mouth again and getting a tooth pulled out and filled is terrifying. And it's awful because it is all that place's fault, because I used to be so fine with those things, but now I am terrified and I think I'm going to die. So I have no idea when we're getting the filling fixed, but that's just going to be like at our regular dentist. But for this other tooth that I need to get out, there's this guy who's like a professional at anxious patients, which forgive me for not trusting, because this children's place was supposed to be and it was not. But apparently he's gonna be all good, but I do not trust it. I still know that I'm going to be in pain and probably die. And they want to put me on the laughing gas again, which is going to scare me, because now I'm going to be worried that I'll throw up. And also, if it even works, because again, at this place, it did not work. It worked when I was 9, but both times I went when I was 13, it didn't work. And I'm gonna probably feel the needle and want to kill myself. So I am just so terrified, and I don't know what to do. But yeah, we finally scheduled it for August 24th, which is far as hell, but also not. So I am terrified that I am going to die because of this experience. So yeah, I am traumatized. So if you guys never hear from me again, if I die during this appointment, I need you to know that I love you. And okay, in all seriousness, but I am terrified and I don't know what to do. But I also know I need to get it out. Yeah, we're deciding on that instead of the root canal, because that doesn't always work, and in the end I might just have to get it pulled out anyway if it fails years later. So we're like, why not just get it out now? I haven't had like all the teeth that they pulled out, like one at our regular office and then one at the children's place when I was 9, they were all baby teeth. So this is like my first adult tooth getting pulled out, but still I am terrified. And I wish they could just do that and the filling all at once, but unfortunately they're on opposite sides of my mouth, so they can't just freeze my whole mouth. But yeah, I am so terrified. This guy says it's going to be so easy and it'll only take 20 minutes, but I don't know if I'm going to make it. But also, I want to get it out because I can now see the abscess. I didn't see it before, and apparently the reason it wasn't paining me was because the tooth died. But now I can see the abscess, and I'm terrified like every minute that it's going to turn into sepsis. So I'm super paranoid, but they don't seem too concerned about that, so I'm hoping it'll be okay. They did say that if it starts paining me between now and the appointment, they will give me antibiotics so it doesn't hurt. So I'm assuming that means they're not concerned it'll turn into sepsis, but I'm still terrified of that, obviously. But yeah, every year I've been terrified of hearing bad news from the dentist, and while I do often have like a lot of plaque and things they have to pick off and tartar and all that, I still haven't had cavities for years, but now I do, and it makes me upset. But yeah, I hope I survive. It's scary. It's really scary. Nothing is easy for me, so I'm just scared to be on the gas and get needles again and crying and shaking just thinking about it. But yeah, it's not good. And apparently at this place they're not saying to wait 4 hours without eating. They're saying just don't eat any like large meal right before. Like you can have snacks and drinks or whatever, but don't eat like too much, like for maybe about an hour before. So I guess that's already a little different. And my mom's like called them and told them the whole story of why I'm traumatized, and they're like, we promise that won't happen. She's gonna have a good experience. Will I? But yeah, so I've just been anxious for months, and I'm still anxious thinking about it. I hope it's okay. I hope I don't die. And also, this is technically still Dr. Logan haunting me, because her stupid filling is like rotting in my mouth and causing an infection. So thanks lady. Love you so much. But yeah, that was my horrific dental experience, and that is not okay. Realistically, we should have sued, but no, we can't. But they are horrible, so just be careful where you send your kids and make sure they're okay, and just don't ever treat any child like that. That is the lesson, because that was pretty much abusive and a horrible thing to do. So yeah, that is why I am forever traumatized and have a fear of the dentist that goes beyond the I don't like it, it's kind of scary and hurts and it's annoying, but mine is like genuine trauma. So as always, everything is just a mess for me. But yeah, that's my life. Teeth problems, small jaw, extreme anxiety. Thankfully, apparently I don't need my wisdom teeth out. That was like my biggest fear, because like that's actual surgery and like really scary. But apparently on the latest x-rays I got a few months ago, they were like, you only have like one wisdom tooth and it's this little baby guy, and I don't think it's ever going to come through. So it looks like I'll never have to deal with that. So at least that's good, but everything else sucks. So yeah, that was my horrific dentist story, and I'll update you guys as the day gets closer for, you know, getting that done, and hopefully I'll be okay. So I love you guys, and just know that no matter what, your support gets me through like my worst anxiety and my worst experiences. So thank you. And if you guys could just be there for me when it happens, I know things will at least be somewhat okay, because like, yeah. Anyway, I know this was a lot of yapping and nobody's even probably watching this, but you know, I just like to vent and tell my stories sometimes. So yeah, sorry, but I'm gonna keep doing it. So thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment if you can, and we'll see you later. Bye.